Have you ever felt right on the edge of breakthrough and then it all falls apart? We were expecting a $60,000 bonus, dreaming about finally buying a home, and then Jonathan lost his job. We lost all of our benefits with a newborn baby on the way, so we were back to square one. But this is the part of the story where God interrupted our plans and opened a door that I definitely never saw coming. I never saw coming. This episode is about the moments when your dream dies so that something bigger can live. You were created to live abundantly and multiply in every area of your life. But let's be honest, the road isn't always easy.
We know that firsthand. We've been through highs and lows, from losing everything to now managing an investment fund, and we're still on the journey.
This podcast isn't about having it all figured out. It's about real stories, kingdom principles, and trusting God with what's already in your hands.
On Mandate to Multiply, we go deep into faith, family, finances, and other topics, sharing what we've learned and what we're still learning as we walk it out with Jesus.
If you're ready to think bigger, live boldly, and multiply what matters most,
then you're in the right place. We're Jonathan and Melissa Edmiston, and this is Mandate to Multiply.
Welcome to episode 3.
Yeah.
We're doing it. All right.
So let's take a step back.
Yep.
Here we are, living in the Keys. Mm-hmm. We just opened a gym. We just had a baby.
Yeah.
I had found a job as a project manager on a construction job, a big job. Mm-hmm. And we were running the job, working, hustling, just trying still to make ends meet, even though we were both working.
Yeah.
And the reason I had taken the job was because, one, it was additional income, but two, for health insurance, right? Yeah. Because our health insurance had gone from $400 a month to $2,200 a month with the changes in the healthcare system at the time, which was right around 2014 or whatever it was.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to emphasize because people see where you're currently at and they may not always realize the amount of work that you've done, you know? And so I think it's important to know, like, we were in a season in that time where we owned a gym, you had a full-time job, we had a baby, like a toddler.
No, not even. Like, he was 2 months.
2 months old. And running the gym, coaching almost every class because you're building community and people want to see the owner there. And I wanted to be there. I loved what I did. Yeah. So I was going to coach every day and bringing my firstborn with me. Yeah. He was always in the gym. And it was really great because we were able to build a community of members who were new moms who also wanted to work out. And we gave them a safe place to bring their kids and work out. Yeah. But that meant you waking up, coaching a 5 a.m. class, while I was home with the baby, going to your full-time job. I met you, we kind of traded off. We always said we went a lot of years where we were just passing each other by. It was like, tag, you're it, here's the baton, now you go. And we would just tag each other in and out a lot. And unfortunately, that's a really common place for young couples and families to be. And we kind of want to encourage whoever's listening or watching, don't be that couple. Because although we did it because we had to, there is a better way. And I think if you're really intentional, you don't want to get into that place. But anyways, we did what we had to do. We would, same thing in the afternoon, tag each other out. I'd go be home with the baby after coaching 3, 4, 5 classes. Then Jonathan would coach the afternoon classes. Then by the time he got home, it was time to eat and go to bed, right?
That was our life.
We did that for a really long time. Again, mopping floors, cleaning toilets, working full-time job, running the gym. It was a lot of work and a lot of hours and a lot of being really intentional because we prioritized our son at the time also, mostly.
Yeah. But the job that I took, we took it, one, for benefits. Yeah. And the salary wasn't that much, but the promise was when the job was completed, there would be the equivalent of a year's salary bonus at the end. And a couple months before the job completed, the manager called me into his office one day and said, "We're eliminating your position," which meant not only did I lose my salary and the benefits that we had with baby number 2 on the way. Yeah. But we also lost the potential for that bonus, which was what we were going to use to buy our first home together there in the Keys.
Talk about going through another moment where you're like, God, where are you? What's happening? I feel very forsaken right now because we had this dream and we were like, we were both, but I was hungry for our own home. I wanted a home to have our oldest and then bring in our second. I'm like, we're going to have 2 boys. We need to be in a house. I want something to call my own. I mean, we had both owned property in the past. Jonathan, like we mentioned, had owned lots of homes. I had my own condo. We've owned before, but this was like our first home together for our new family. And so it was like, this thing where you're just like really craving and really hungry for something and you see it. It's there. It's right there. He's about to get this $60,000 bonus. We're about to be able to buy this house. We've saved some money. It's like, we're there. And then boom, the rug just gets totally just pulled right from under us again. Yeah. And it was really, really heartbreaking because now we're like, oh, great. I'm about to have a baby. We have no insurance. There goes our house down payment. And so again, just went back to like, okay, Lord, what are you doing? What are you showing us? What's next? And really having no other choice but to continue to trust him and be faithful with what he had already given us and what was in our hand.
Yeah. And I heard somebody say one time, when God closes a door, he opens a window. So, we kept looking for, what are you doing, Lord? What direction do you want us to go? Obviously, you've closed this door to where we cannot buy a home now in the Keys.
And every door was closing.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, we'll get creative. We'll do some sort of creative financing. We'll buy like a rundown old home. We'll do anything because, Jonathan can fix and build and do anything. And every door kept closing in the Keys for a home.
Yeah.
And we were even looking in Miami.
Yeah.
We were considering moving back to Miami. We're like, we'll do anything. We're open. I think that's like the most important thing is just to always be open for what God is doing. I think because of our past and what we've walked through, when I talk to somebody, especially somebody that maybe hasn't walked through a lot yet or is younger, I hear this from every generation, to be honest, where they like have this plan, like, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this, and year 5 is going to be this, and year 10 is going to be this, and I'm going to here, and I'm always like perplexed. Yeah. I'm like, how do you plan like that? I mean, we have goals and plans and vision, but we want God to do it all. We want his will. We want to give him room to move. We want to give him room to blow our minds. And if we're so set in our ways with what we want, then how do we do that? So also, I think because of the journey we've been on, that kind of talk makes us laugh because we also had plans and nothing turned out the way that we thought. Everything turned out better than we could have imagined, is turning out better than we can imagine. But I mean, can you imagine if we had this like 5-year plan of exactly how it was supposed to go? It would have been even more devastating.
They say if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yeah, seriously.
So here we are.
Yeah. Wanting a home so bad.
Wanting a home. My position is eliminated. So we don't know where we're going to live. We don't know what I'm going to do for work and for health insurance and everything. And I interviewed for a position with the government, the city, and I was actually offered a job that we turned down, which would have been benefits, which would have been a salary, but it wasn't God's best.
Yeah.
And we knew that we couldn't take it. That I couldn't take it. It would be settling for good instead of waiting for God's best.
Yeah, and we've done that a few times in our life where things have come up. And I think when you're in a season of being desperate and waiting for the next thing, it's very often you get these little dangling carrots of, hey, take this. And it's so easy in that season or in that moment to just be like, yes, we'll take it. Whatever it is, we'll take anything. Desperation. But we've always been in agreement that we don't want to settle for good. We want God's best. Yeah. And oftentimes that has meant for us saying no to things that we really needed and should have taken.
And people called us crazy.
We've been called crazy.
For not taking.
They're like, what do you mean? That's security. That's a job. Just take it. It could lead to this, this, and this. And here's the thing. And I've given this wisdom to lots of people because they've asked, obviously. But it's like, don't just think of the opportunity in the moment because people will be like, that's great. That opportunity to work for the government is great because you may only be starting at $65,000. But just imagine if you stay long enough, you'll work your way up to $100,000. And we're like, that's not what we're trying to work our way up to here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're grateful for 100, but we are really expecting and wanting and believing for way more because we know what God has put in our heart to give and to accomplish. So when you look at like the bigger picture of the purpose that he has called you to, we can't settle for less. We can't settle for little. So we turned down that job because one, we knew it was going to put you back into a full-time 9-to-5 golden handcuffs, which we personally don't want for our lives. We made that decision a long time ago, although we have stepped into it in seasons. And we also knew that wasn't what God really wanted. And I think it was also a test.
Yeah.
Would we take it because we were so desperate?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I started praying a really bold prayer. Mm-hmm. I got so desperate that I started praying. I said, God, please, I just want a house by Christmas. I want our own home by Christmas. Now, side note, when you pray, make sure you're very specific. In location, that's why I always tell younger girls, when you pray for your husband, you be specific. You ask God for exactly what your heart desires, and then you trust him that he'll give you more than what you want. He'll give you what's best for you, but don't leave out the details.
Yeah.
And so I left out location. I left out everything. I just said, Lord, please, I want a house by Christmas of this year. And this was around June.
Yeah. So then we're laying in bed one night, and my sister, who had already moved to North Carolina, sends me a text with this house, and I'm looking at it, and I lean over and I show it to her, and I said, what do you think about this house, babe? And she says, I like it. Let's go see it. And I'm like, what? No, you don't understand. My sister sent me this. It's in North Carolina. And she goes, yeah, let's go see it. And I was like, all right, miss, I'll never move to North Carolina. So we planned a trip to come up and visit my sister.
Well, you have to remember, again, I was desperate. I really wanted a home. I had never lived in a huge home before, nor had I ever had a lot of land. So when he shows me this picture, it was a shell of a home, really, which we'll get into in a second. But he shows me this picture of this beautiful home that looks massive and tells me it's on 5.5 acres. Think about it. I'm hungry for a house. I'm desperate. I'm thinking young boys running around playing. I'm really not thinking about where the house is located, except for the fact that is what I want. It's just not where I want it. But again, I was like, let's just see. Again, that's one of those things where God opens a door, you explore until the door shuts, and you either have peace about it or you don't. And that's how you know if it's him or not. Yeah. It's when we get in a way and we allow our flesh to dictate and we allow our desires or our own thoughts to dictate that we get into trouble. But this was just let's explore, let's take a step and see what happens.
Yeah, and one of our prayers is always, God, close every door that isn't for us. Mm-hmm. So we operate on the principle that the light is green until it's red. Yeah. So if he gives us something, we're going to pursue it until he slams the door closed and redirects us. Mm-hmm. So we go visit my sister. We go look at the house, which is... You can't even see the house because it's so grown up. What somebody had done is they framed it in, they dried it in, windows and a roof and doors, and then they just abandoned it and moved out of state. And it had sat abandoned for years.
Which was not the picture that we saw.
Right.
The picture we saw was before it was abandoned.
And come to find out, they were having discussions of possibly even tearing the home down.
Oh, yeah.
Because it had sat so long without somebody finishing it. So again, we said, all right, well, let's make him a ridiculous offer. And if they accept it, then we'll move forward with it.
And that was kind of my thinking when we saw it. I mean, I remember, and we have a picture where we got to this house. I'll never forget. His sister was there. We had a baby and a 1-year-old. Mm-hmm. We just look at this house and you can't see it because the grass in front of it is so overgrown and tall that you can't see the house. And you walk in and it's disgusting. What's that stuff called? Insulation. There's insulation everywhere. There's windows, doors, cabinets thrown around. Nothing in this house looks like anything that you want except the vision. And for some reason, we just had vision for what was possible. And also I was desperate. So I said, God, if you want us to buy this house, and again, even still, I had no context for what that even meant because our world was in Miami, in the Keys. Our world was in South Florida. We had a gym. We had family that lived there. I had lived there my whole life, and it didn't make any sense. And I didn't know what the step after that would be. Like, would we move here? Would we buy it and rent it out? Would we flip it? What are we doing other than the fact that this house is for sale? We really can't fully afford it, but we're going to make a stupid, ridiculous offer.
Yeah.
And that was where I was like, Lord, if this is you, then just keep opening the door.
And they accepted it.
Oh my gosh. It was weeks. It was like, what, 2-3 weeks? We made an offer. It was absurd. I want to say the numbers because I feel like this is part of the story where people like don't have faith.
Yeah.
And obviously these numbers are what? How many years ago?
A lot.
10 years ago? 10 years ago. Not so much the number, but what's possible and what God can do. I think the numbers are important. So the house they were asking what?
I don't even remember.
100 something? 100,000?
No, it was closer to 2, I think.
Maybe 175. I think she was asking 175.
That's what we ended up paying for.
Okay. We made an offer. It was $175,000. This is Cedar Grove, North Carolina, okay?
Which is outside of Chapel Hill, same county.
Yeah. Middle of nowhere for this Miami girl. I'm like, what are we doing here? There's cows everywhere and grass everywhere, hay fields everywhere. I mean, for this Miami girl, this was like, what are we doing here? Except for all I could see was a home, land for my family. So we made this ridiculous offer, 100, I think we offered like 165 with maybe it was 10,000 down.
Yeah, they held the mortgage.
She held the
with
mortgage.
A small amount down, yeah.
Tiny amount down. So we made an offer that made no sense other than you want to sell this house. It's been on the market for a while. Yeah. And obviously nobody else has vision because this is a disaster of a property.
Yeah.
But we had the vision and we know how to do the work. Jonathan knows how to do the work. And I have vision for what's possible. And I think I was watching a lot of Joanna Gaines at the time.
Probably.
So I was like, oh, we can do this. And I was just walking like, we can move this wall and add this. And I was like total in Joanna Gaines mode. So I was like, we can do this. And we just had vision for it. And we just believed that if God wanted us to have this house, then she would accept a crazy offer with almost no money down. She holds the mortgage and we get to finish the home.
And she accepted it.
Yeah.
And we closed on it December 22nd. 3 days before Christmas.
It's crazy.
God answered your prayer that we would have a home before Christmas.
God answered my prayer. We closed 3 days before Christmas. It was wild.
So the house that you didn't expect became a holy redirect.
Yeah, it really did. It really did.
So now we have this house in North Carolina. We're living in the Keys.
Yeah.
And we're like, what do we do with it? Do we flip it? Do we rent it? Or do we move?
Yeah.
And everything in Florida was saying stay, right? We had a community, we had family.
Our family was not
church
happy.
was there. Gosh, I'll never forget that conversation with your mom when we told her we were moving.
Yeah, it was not good.
But everybody's saying stay, but God was saying go. So we were praying for clarity, surrendering our will and our plan to the Lord. And then we got the call that changed everything.
Yeah. Again, another plot twist was that, so we have this house. We own it. We're telling people at the gym about it because we're like, this is so crazy. We never expected this, but we own a home now. We're like showing them pictures and everybody was like, it's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Because, in the Keys, you don't really see houses like that either with land and this big, beautiful home. Maybe we'll put a picture in it in the show notes and show you guys what we're talking about, some before and after pictures. But still, we're like, okay, we own a house in North Carolina, but we own a gym in the Keys. Mm-hmm. Church, like you said, family, everything. So now what, right? Okay, Lord, again, this is another one of those. He showed us one step. He opened the door. He made it happen. And now we're in a, what's next, God? What do we do now? And it didn't make sense because they're like, well, we don't have a job in North Carolina. We don't own a gym in North Carolina. We do have some family there. And Jonathan starts putting out feelers for, he had his real estate license already in Florida. Remember, he had that since he was 18 years old. And he figured, well, we got to do something with this house. So whether we rent it out or flip it, I'd like to have my real estate license because maybe that's something, if those kind of deals exist in that area, maybe there's opportunity for buying and flipping more homes. And I want to have my real estate license there to do it. So you started making some calls to see, and then you get on a call with I guess she was a recruiter for a nationwide real estate firm, and they offer you a job. I mean, he's like, I just want to have a place to put my license. And she's like, after talking to you for 15 minutes, She's like, I want you to talk to our regional president because I think we may have something else for you.
Well, I think that's a story for next time, where we can tell you how I went from jobless to being offered a 6-figure full benefit job that I did not qualify for.
Yeah.
And how we left everything behind to follow the doors that God was opening. So if you want to hear about that, come check out our next episode.
It's so fun to share all of this with you guys. We hope that you're just getting a glimpse and a picture of what's possible, what we've walked through. And so when we start sharing things in the future, you know where we've come from and how we can speak so boldly and so confidently in the goodness of God. So stay tuned. Remember to subscribe to our channel, to our podcast, wherever you're listening or watching this. Like it, share it, leave a comment. We want to hear from you. So please make sure that you are interacting with us. You can email us. You can find us on social media. Send us a DM. Make sure that you're asking us questions and interacting. We are real people, and we are actually here to connect and engage with you. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Stay tuned.
Before you go, remember, God can use anything. Even the hardest parts of your story can become seeds for multiplication.
If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend, leave a review, or subscribe so you never miss a moment of hope and truth.
You can also follow us on Mandate to Multiply on Instagram or mandatetomultiply.com to keep growing with us.
Until next time, trust God, steward well what's in your hand,
and live a life fully multiplied.